You're settled into your seat, headphones in, scrolling through your phone. Then the announcement comes. Ladies and gentlemen, please switch your mobile devices to airplane mode for departure. You tap the setting, lock your screen, and think nothing of it. Everyone does it. It's just one of those rules you follow without question. But have you ever actually wondered why? Because the real answer is more complicated and more interesting than most people realize. And it turns out the reason they tell you has quietly shifted over the decades. Let's go back to the early 1990s. Mobile phones were just becoming widespread, and airlines started noticing something strange. Pilots were occasionally reporting interference in their cockpit communications, odd crackling sounds in their headsets, brief disruptions in radio signals. The timing seemed to correlate with passengers using mobile phones during flight. The concern was this: aircraft navigation and communication systems operate on specific radio frequencies. Early mobile phones transmitted signals by constantly searching for the nearest cell tower, and doing so aggressively, especially when the signal was weak. At 35,000 feet, your phone isn't just searching for one tower. It's pinging dozens of them simultaneously at full power, trying to establish a connection that the altitude and distance make nearly impossible. The worry was that this constant, high-power transmission could potentially interfere with cockpit instruments, altimeters, navigation systems, radio communications. Not enough to bring down a plane, but enough to create confusing noise and distraction at exactly the moments when pilots needed clarity most. The FAA and aviation authorities responded by banning the use of mobile devices during flight. Better safe than sorry. But here's what most people never think about. That was over 30 years ago. The technology has changed completely. Modern aircraft are engineered with far more robust shielding around sensitive electronics. Today's smartphones transmit at significantly lower power levels than those early mobile phones. And the actual documented evidence of phones interfering with modern flight systems has always been extremely thin, more precautionary than proven. So why does the rule still exist? Part of the answer is institutional momentum. Aviation authorities move slowly and carefully, and once a safety rule is established, removing it requires overwhelming evidence that it was never necessary. That evidence is hard to gather when everyone is already complying with the rule. But there's a second reason that's far more practical, and almost nobody talks about it. It's the cell towers. When a plane flies at cruising altitude with hundreds of passengers all running active phones simultaneously, each device is attempting to connect to ground networks at full transmission power. From the perspective of mobile networks on the ground, this creates a chaotic situation. Hundreds of phones all pinging multiple towers at once, creating interference not in the aircraft, but in the ground network below. Mobile carriers lobbied hard for airplane mode, not only because of aircraft safety concerns, but because hundreds of airborne phones hammering their network simultaneously was a genuine problem for signal quality on the ground. So airplane mode isn't just protecting the plane, it's also protecting the network infrastructure below it. Today, most aviation authorities, including the FAA and the European equivalent, EASA, have quietly acknowledged that the actual risk to modern aircraft from personal devices is extremely low. Many airlines now offer onboard Wi-Fi, which means your phone is actively connected to a network at 35,000 feet, with full airline approval. The difference is that onboard Wi-Fi systems are designed and controlled. They transmit through approved equipment, rather than through hundreds of individual devices broadcasting independently. The rule hasn't disappeared, but its original justification has evolved significantly from what it once was. So the next time you switch to airplane mode, you're not really protecting the plane's navigation system from your Instagram feed. You're following a rule built on decades of caution, cellular network lobbying, and the slow pace of institutional change, all wrapped up in a 15-second announcement that nobody questions. And here's something I want to know. Do you actually switch to airplane mode every time, or do you quietly leave your phone on and assume nothing will happen? Drop it in the comments. I have a feeling the answers are going to be very divided. If this changed how you think about something you've done on every single flight, hit like and subscribe to Everyday Objects. Extraordinary Stories for more stories about the hidden rules shaping everyday life around us.